I recall looking out the window of our crowded van as we traveled the bumpy and chaotic streets of Haiti. Our group, the Baylor Engineers with a Mission, were headed to the orphanage guest house that we would call home for the next 2 weeks. It took nearly an hour to travel the short 9 miles to reach our destination. The ride was anything but smooth. There was often sudden turns to the right and then to the left as our van driver maneuvered in and around the many potholes and washed out pavement. There were sights and sounds and smells not typical of my Texas hometown. There were people going about their business, some selling goods, others cooking, welding, fixing cars and trucks. There was even one young man alongside the road preparing a goat for dinner. I was looking at a people that in many ways were much different than me, but yet in ways they were much the same. They were at home in their own culture, having a place in their own community. I thought to myself, what is it that we could possibly offer this community? Would this trip really make a difference in the lives of the 9 engineering students that we brought to Haiti? What impact would it have on me? As engineering educators, we often ask, how can we really make a difference in the lives of others? Whether it be in the lives of our students or in the lives of the marginalized around the world. 2 weeks later, we had finished our solar electric power system that supplied electricity to the orphanage, a schoolhouse, and the guest house. Our work made it possible for children and caregivers to power their classrooms and their living areas. Oh, when a ceiling fan was first turned on in the middle of a hot and humid afternoon, the surprised look on one woman's face was priceless. Seeing her expression of relief made the whole trip worthwhile. It did happen. Missions-driven learning changed lives. The book, When Helping Hurts, begins with the Christian worldview of missions, which has at its core the directive to, quote, preach the kingdom of God and heal the sick. While missions are often associated with spreading the gospel, our focus here is more on the latter. That is the action of helping the disadvantaged. So first, let's consider that missions-driven learning offers students something bigger. Our Haiti trip is just one example of Baylor students engaging the larger community to help others. Another example is our Basic Utility Vehicle project, that is BUV for short, that we started at Baylor in the fall of 2014. BUVs provide basic transport, carrying water, crops, and people across third world countries today. Our first meeting attracted over 40 students, and out of that we formed a core group of about 8 who were dedicated to build a vehicle for transport in third world conditions. We all worked tirelessly, designing, welding, cutting, gathering parts, and fundraising to make our first BUV a reality. In April 2015, we placed third out of 8 cars at the annual Institute for Affordable Transportation sponsored BUV competition in Ohio. I still remember our students often asking, what organization will our car ultimately help? What country will it end up going to? While this group of selfless students enjoyed the engineering design and fabrication challenges, most got involved to make a difference. It is no surprise to many of you that engaging in something having a bigger purpose is a huge motivation for students. Indeed, the 2017 Deloitte Millennial Survey found that 2/3 of those questioned preferred working for a business driven by distinct purpose. Millennials believe that businesses should be focused more on impact and less on profit. In fact, over half of the young people in North America today view sense of purpose more important than salary. They feel a relatively high sense of accountability when it comes to big issues. Irrespective of faith walk, millennials rank poverty number 4 and inequality number 3 among the top 10 concerning issues in the world today. At the heart of the entrepreneurial mindset is the placement of learning within a bigger purpose. How much more beneficial would it be to engage our students in purposeful connection and action while addressing world problems? Missions-driven learning opens the door for true curiosity and value creation by the young men and women that we teach each day. Yes, missions-driven learning offers students something bigger. Secondly, missions-driven learning offers engineering programs something richer. Thanks to a generous donation, the dreams of our first BUV students will become a reality in May when our group travels to Uganda to teach local trade school students how to build a BUV. What's more, this year alone, Baylor Missions will send out over 700 students on short-term, discipline-specific mission trips similar to ours. We are set to engage the community just south of Galu through a partnership with Village of Hope Uganda. Village of Hope Uganda provides school, family, medical aid, and skills training for over 300 formerly abducted children, refugees of bloody civil war. Working side by side, Baylor and local trade school students will cut angle iron, weld box channels, connect belt drives, mount a diesel engine, and drive off in the first ever Village of Hope BUV. Our engineering students will apply machine design concepts to calculate fatigue life. They will specify gear ratios and torques. They will use engineering methods learned in my dynamic systems class to obtain suspension loads. At the same time, the local trade school students will provide cultural, manufacturing, and logistical insights that are so vital to the success of our project. Together, we will provide basic transport to a people that so desperately need it while giving hope to a nearly forgotten generation. Baylor engineering students will engage in a community nearly half a world. Baylor students will engage in a community nearly halfway around the world that is not their own, and a learning experience like no other. By engaging this rural African community, our students will see the effect that political strife can have on children while gaining a better understanding of the social motivations behind their own missions work. And yet this Baylor program is not unique. Other campuses, irrespective of faith perspective, embrace the service learning model. Some examples that you may have heard of are humanitarian engineering or engineering programs in community service, and there's others. All of these enjoy high levels of student engagement. In addition, research at The Ohio State University showed that half of the students on their Honduras service learning trips are female. This compares to only 19% female in that university's engineering student population. We see similar numbers on Baylor mission trips as well. Studies at UC San Diego also found that service learning has a positive effect on recruitment and retention, particularly among women and underrepresented minorities. Furthermore, research at Gannon University showed that service learning initiatives connect specifically to 7 of 11 ABET accreditation outcomes. A quick Google search finds journal papers and even NSF grants related to service learning. Missions-driven learning projects find application in all of these. You see, retention, diversity, scholarship, student engagement, accreditation, and even research are all enriched. Yes, missions-driven learning offers engineering programs something richer. The fruits of our BUV Uganda trip are still to be seen. So in closing, I instead want to share with you the impact of BUV Tanzania. As a successful business as mission organization, BUV Tanzania is aimed at providing enterprise and not just aid. Furthermore, the BUV built at their Arusha facility has benefited from engineering student engagement in the United States over the past 2 decades. In Tanzania, a young man named Paulo saw his life change with the BUV. Paulo lives in Masa land near Arusha, where drought destroyed his family's livelihood when all of their cattle and goats died. Through his church, Paulo was given the chance to first drive a BUV and then develop a BUV transportation business. That enterprise has flourished. Paulo has since built a house for his parents, purchased a plot of land in the nearby village, and made a real contribution to others in his community. A bigger life, a richer life. And like Paulo, the orphanage children and Baylor engineering students are living proof that missions-driven learning changes lives. Thank you.